Good evening. I think we've just come live. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. My name's Julian Wilcock. I'm the headmaster at John Colet School here in Belrose. Tonight we've been asked to speak about the unique drama program that we provide at John Colet School and the benefits of Shakespeare and drama in general that has for primary age children. I do appreciate that we have some parents listening tonight who may be new to our school and also parents who have children attending our school that are aware of our special programs. I'll do my best to address both audience this evening. Tonight I'm joined by our Shakespeare and Drama Coordinator, Ms. Zoe Emanuel, who I'll be introducing shortly. Zoe's been supporting our program at John Colet School for over 12 years now. She works with all our children and staff in their productions from kindergarten through to 6th class, as well as our Shakespeare Club, who compete in events in Sydney. And last year, our students came first in Sydney Shakespeare competition, and all of the other schools were in high schools. So congratulations, Zoe and the team. Zoe also works within drama with a number of high schools in Sydney, as well as running her own very popular performing arts school, Brightsparks. Now, hopefully we do have the opportunity for questions we can address at the end if you do have them. If you're able to give a thumbs up at the moment that you're watching, that would be great, so we know we've got an active audience and I'm not just talking to myself. Also, if when I'm speaking tonight I touch on other areas of interest, feel free to pop in the comment box the word topic and your suggestion, because if we get enough interest, I'm more than happy to offer another session in the future. I do have a colleague here tonight who will also be keeping an eye on any questions relevant to our specific subject tonight, Shakespeare, that we might be able to address at the end. Now, while we're waiting for a few more people to join us, I think I can give you a bit of a background of our school. If you're looking for a primary education, I encourage you to get in touch with us, obviously. Likewise, if you're considering other schools, I encourage you to take a tour of those schools. The best way to choose a school, whether it's ours or another, is to visit them in person during a typical school day. I've been quite fortunate this week to get a bit of sunshine rather than touring in the rain, which has happened for the past 6 months or so. So we're a standalone primary school with no affiliation to any local preschool or secondary school. In schools in Sydney, there is a trend for parents to choose public in primary and often independent in secondary. But for us at JCS, we do see primary as fundamental in setting the foundations for students, and our parents prize this also, many of whom will invest in primary and look to public education for high school. So as a standalone primary school, our students leave us at the end of 6th class to begin their next educational journey. We have about 50% who will go into the independent school system or the Catholic system. Roughly about 50% continue into the public sector. Many will be offered either scholarships or places at selective schools. However, the range is broad as to their choices. So our focus for what we do, our focus then is not on meeting the need of the next school, the next high school, but to have students who are confident, resilient, academically secure, where their strength areas to develop so they're ready for high school and the adventures of life coming up ahead. So our school, John Colet, was established in 1985. So currently we have just over 260 students attending at 2 classes per year level, from lower first, that's what we call kindergarten, through to 6th class. That's 14 classes in total, giving us an average of about 18 children per class. Our children do stay with the same teacher in class throughout infants, which is 3 years, after which the children are mixed into 2 fresh classes before they have a new teacher for 2 years, so 3rd and 4th class. And then this happens again for their final 2 years, 5th and 6th class, where they're mixed and they have a new teacher. So we do see student-teacher relationship as fundamental, particularly in primary school. It certainly helps with that transition time of losing time at the start of the year. It does take 3 to 6 months to get to know a child properly. So that's part of the reason we look at that extended time. We do enjoy a low turnover of staff. Some who are still with us from the beginning of the school. My predecessor, Gilbert Main, he was the headmaster here for almost 30 years. I'm not quite up to that yet. This is my 7th year, so I'll be taking my first graduate group of students through this year who I started with kindy with 7 years ago. I did grow up in the local area in Northern Beaches, and before coming here, I was about 15 years overseas, 10 years in Dubai and 5 years in Singapore, working in international education. So when I was coming back here, I was looking for a bit more of an international feel, a school with a good sense of its own philosophy and a focus on dealing with character and values with children. So I'm very happy to have found the right school for myself and for my children when they attended as well. So before we begin, I'll show you a quick clip of a mix of our students performing at our Shakespeare Festival. Drama is meant to be experienced. Well, we're talking about it all tonight. It's great if you can see a bit, and hopefully this will give you a bit more picture of what we do. Thank you. Please start the film. Oh, again, I hope you enjoyed having a look at that clip there from different plays that have occurred over the years at John Colet School. As I said before, the school has been running Shakespeare right from kindergarten through to year 6 when the school started over 38 years ago. And we even managed to continue during COVID and lockdown with our talented students and coordinators working to put Zoom performances together into one play, which was challenging, but we didn't stop, and the children got a great experience. And of course, it's all recorded, so they've got something to take with them that they can look back in later life. So welcome again if you've just joined us. Tonight we'll be speaking about the power of drama, and in particular Shakespeare, and the benefits our children experience at John Colet School. I'm joined tonight by our resident performance expert and coordinator of our Shakespeare program, Ms. Emanuel. Now, there's a lot to speak of within this area, so I'll firstly provide just an overview of the program that we have at John Colet School, because we are quite a unique school, and how Shakespeare fits into our overall approach of primary education, because it's important to put this into context. And in context, in particular, within attention. Ms. Emanuel will then speak more specifically about Shakespeare and the benefits of performing arts for young students. I'll then talk a bit more about our program and open up our chat for any possible questions. And again, if they come up, feel free just to pop them in, and we'll try to get to them at the end. So the philosophy behind our program at John Colet School is centred on the need to develop children's capacity for attention at an early age through practical experience. Attention, or the ability to focus, give full awareness to what is in front of you, is something that we believe actually needs to be taught. It is a tool that's best taught from an early age as children develop. However, it's never too late to learn. Now, we do this in a number of ways. One of these will be our mindfulness program. We've been doing since the start of our school, since school started. We call this the pause. We pause with the children and staff many times a day. So rather than moving quickly from one activity to another, we take time to pause before and at the end of each activity. This brings us into the present by connecting to the senses and simply being here. It's an ingrained part of each and every day and sets the tone throughout the school. So even today, I would have had meetings with many parents, had meetings with students as well, and we would pause before that so that I could move on from whatever activity I was doing and give my full attention. So that's one of the ways we develop attention. Another way is developing cognitive load. Now, cognitive load, this begins in kindergarten and ensuring children have the foundation skills required to access the curriculum we teach. So skills such as handwriting, spelling, times tables helps to develop the children's ability to give attention and be mindful of the greater task. This is often called cognitive load. For example, if a child cannot recall their times tables, they might have difficulty when completing more complex mathematics. Performing drama and the memorisation of lines, such as Shakespeare, develops a capacity for attention across all subject areas. The other way in which we develop attention is through those unique subject areas we teach, one of which is Shakespeare, which we'll come back to in just a moment. Other ways that we do it at John Colet School, in our choir sessions, all the children do singing from kinder to year 6. When you're singing, like public speaking, you have to be present. There's a reason that singing comes up in every culture throughout the world. It builds focus, attention, but also listening when singing within a group. Our classical language program as well is within Sanskrit and Latin. It does require children to extend themselves in terms of recitation, memorization as well. Again, expanding that sort of cognitive load for the children that seeps into other subject areas. And our art lessons as well. We are very focused on both the fine arts as well as the drama we're talking about tonight. So our fine arts program, instead of being what you normally see in a primary school, which is quite craft-based, ours is more in-depth. We're going to look at art history, great artists. We've got 4 or 5 part-time art teachers who are practicing exhibiting artists as well. And the children's lessons, rather than being half an hour, do run for about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on their age. So again, they can develop that attention. So, and we have optional activities and clubs, such as Latin, chess, needlework, fencing, debating. We even started Greek, ancient Greek this week, all there to help develop that attention and focus skills. So we do get a great deal of attention for our NAPLAN results. However, I would say to prospective parents that if you're coming here just for NAPLAN, then perhaps it's not the right school for you. I believe it is because of our focus on value-based, well-rounded education with subjects such as Shakespeare, art, singing, classical language, that our students progress so well. Then, to the topic for tonight, Shakespeare. Shakespeare's been running since the school's formation. It includes all children and all ages in a class play each and every year. Shakespeare is wonderful for the rich language and themes, and drama in general requires a presence, self-knowledge and confidence that has so many benefits. The attention and mindfulness skills that are derived from our Shakespeare program, we believe, have a direct impact on the children's academic and social skills. Our aim is that the content of what we teach is of a rich nature. So in short, if you place average material in front of a child, that is what they'll learn. If it's of a higher quality, that is what they'll rise to. So before I pass over to Ms. Emanuel, I will play just another bit shorter mix of clips from a range of ages and plays that can help put what we're talking about in context. And for those people who I think have just entered the webinar tonight. So enjoy this short video and we'll be back very quickly. I hope you enjoyed that clip. You might have noticed that the hall that was in that clip was a bit different to the first one, and that was because during the last few COVID years, we haven't been able to go down to Glen Street Theatre, which is where our primary Shakespeare Festival occurs, and will be occurring back this year. Fingers crossed. No, it will happen. I'd like to now welcome Ms. Emanuel, who you can see with me on the screen, to speak further on the benefits of Shakespeare and drama in general for primary age children. Thank you for joining us, Zoe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a joy to be here, and I like nothing better than to talk about Shakespeare and how that benefits children. As Mr. Wilcock said, I've been at the school for nearly 13 years. It's actually whizzed by. I can't believe it's been that long. It's a really rich program, and it brings me just as much joy as I think it brings the children at this school. It's incredibly challenging. When I first started, I was very nervous about being able to bring the quality of what was already being there with the previous principal, Mr. Main, Gilbert Main, who managed to get the children to speak so clearly and loudly the language of Shakespeare, and they seemed to understand what they were saying, and I was quite aghast at that. I sort of thought, oh God, there's not going to be any way that I'm going to be able to bring that to the table. But in fact, it's been the most incredible journey working with the children and the school, because they are so willing and want to learn and enjoy the whole program. So basically, just to tie that on in, why is Shakespeare something that we still learn today? Why is it so important? And, you know, Shakespeare dates back 400 years and is still played in more countries than any other playwright, translated more than any other playwright. And he was a master of words and the English language that has been impacted by his work in so many ways that we don't even realise. We have famous phrases from his plays that have entered the modern lexicon through his expert use of language, techniques, and word inventions. So Shakespeare's inventions of words range anywhere between 400 to 2,500 words and phrases that we still use today. So I'll give you some examples of that. Never a lender nor a borrower be is a famous one from Hamlet. A wild goose chase from Romeo and Juliet. I have been in such a pickle from The Tempest. I must be cruel only to be kind from Hamlet. Laugh oneself into stitches, Twelfth Night. For goodness sake, neither here nor there. One fell swoop, the be-all and end-all. I mean, the list goes on. Mum's the word, eaten out of house and home. Knock, knock, who's there from Macbeth. With bated breath from Merchant of Venice. In my heart of hearts from Hamlet. Too much of a good thing from As You Like It, and It's Greek to Me. And that's just some of them. So these were all phrases that have come from Shakespeare and that we still use today. It draws attention to how powerful language is and how it can be used to manipulate and influence people. Studies have shown many strong indications to show that working with Shakespeare and other great playwrights, particularly Shakespeare though, within performance, has a wider impact on written work and examination results for children. And this is proven. The Royal Shakespeare Company in England began a program called On Your Feet. It was a Shakespeare program that they implemented into 100 schools around England, the primary schools, because they weren't teaching them in primary schools like we don't really here. I mean, it's a unique program at John Colet. And they did a study on how that affected the children. So the teachers were very much involved. They were logging the effects. They were taking notes on how it worked, and they were trained by the actors and the teachers, the workshop leaders and facilitators at Royal Shakespeare Company. And what they found from this program was that students were becoming more willing to contribute ideas and opinions in class. It helped the students to find their own voice, which is so important. Improved language skills and confidence to use language for reading and writing skills. It had an increase in their, a big increase in their confidence and self-belief. And it also really benefited boys who'd been considered disengaged or low-level learners at the time, and it really increased their engagement in class. The incredible thing with watching the children work with Shakespeare at John Colet is that they learn to understand language, to decipher the complex words, and then they get a feel for the characters as well and how those characters interact within the stories, their intention. And that is all done in a drama environment. They're not sitting at a desk reading it dry, which can be really difficult for students to grasp. It's on their feet in a drama capacity, and it's really, really fun. They absolutely love it. So all the children at the school are really eager to do their plays. They adore it, and they learn their lines, which is an absolute gift. And as Mr. Wilcock was saying, the retention that they need to be able to develop, the memorization of those lines, is at a very high level that benefits them across all areas of their learning. Often those children who struggle with reading and writing are transported into the stories and worlds of the plays that we do with Shakespeare, how the characters feel, what they see, what they hear, what they touch and smell. And by capturing the children's imagination, their interest and curiosity is ignited. And with the teacher's guidance, with my guidance, it can release new vocabulary, it can create a need to and a desire to write and explore more. And that is just an incredible gift. I'll never forget once a parent, and this is one of many stories I must say, but a parent coming up to me in the school playground one time, and his son, who was in upper first, had a party, and they got a science lab, and it was a specially designed party in a science lab, and the children were all making potions of some sort and experimenting, and all this sort of smoke was coming out of the test tubes, and one little boy started saying a speech from the witches from Macbeth, and he started going, double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn and cauldron bubble. And then all the children in the class actually burst into this chorus and recited the whole of the witch's speech in Macbeth. And apparently the teachers, or the facilitators at the science lab, were absolutely bowled over. They couldn't believe it. And it was just this amazing understanding from the children that what they were doing had a relationship to the Shakespeare that they were learning at school. They completely joined the dots and knew what they were doing and what they were talking about and how that related. And they were 6, or 5, some of them. So it's quite incredible. It sets them up for an English curriculum in high school way before other students. I also teach in high school, and watching high school students study English, who are doing English, and they all have to do English. It's obviously compulsory, and a big part of that is Shakespeare in the curriculum. And most students at high school haven't had that exposure to Shakespeare and don't really understand it. It's very difficult to teach that at the level that I understand, for the children to get really involved in the language and understand the characters and invest in the stories of Shakespeare. Most of the time they resent it. They don't enjoy it. They find it so difficult to grasp. And it is difficult to grasp if you're just reading it off a page. It's very, it doesn't have the same, you don't connect the dots as easily. But the John Colet children leave the school having often done, depending when they start, 6 plays. They also watch other plays. So they've got a really in-depth understanding of the stories and the characters of Shakespeare, and they love it. They genuinely love it. Shakespeare tells the stories of the human condition. And many people believe he was changing what it meant to tell the story of being human and finding interesting ways to tell those stories. At John Colet, over the years, as you could see from those videos, we've brought those stories to the modern day in many different ways. So you saw there was a circus scene. We've done ones where it was set in modern America with basketballs and Puerto Ricans against the Mexicans. We're doing one at the moment that's set in a modern office with a CEO, and that's the As You Like It one. And you know, they're in an office scene wearing suits. We've done Henry V, set in 1940s in the World War II era. There's been so many different scopes. There's such a huge scope of learning and placement for these Shakespeare plays and how you can present them. And it gives children the opportunity to bring them into a world that they relate to and see how that is still relevant today. So as I said, often the children are leaving the school having done at least 6 plays, watching other plays, having the monologues under their belt because they're reciting these plays. They've learnt monologues, they've learnt many, many lines, and they leave with all of that under their belt. And it's just an incredible thing for them to leave with. So that's just some of the benefits of Shakespeare, but also drama brings so many other incredible skills and benefits to children. And these values, it instills in students, it's in their sense of well-being. It's the life skills that they learn in communication, in collaboration. And it's the inherent understanding of the human condition that Shakespeare brings. And these skills are areas that will see them through life as a foundation to what I believe is success. Classes in drama promote the communication, they promote teamwork, dialogue, negotiation, socialization. It stimulates the imagination and creativity, the left-hand side of the brain. It develops a better understanding of the human behavior and the empathy to situations that might not necessarily find themselves in. Drama classes allow the development of critical thinking and to make more conscious decisions. So as Mr. Wilcock said, we've been teaching Shakespeare at the school for nearly 40 years. So we're pretty good at it. I've been there for only 13 of those years. But over those years, I've witnessed some amazing transformation in so many children, both shy and low self-esteem, who have developed confidence through those drama classes. And it ultimately has helped them in all areas of their personal and school lives. Everywhere in this, I mean, it happens all the time in the school playground. If I'm not up to teaching those children, because it's split into infants, I teach in the first half of the year, and primary I teach in the second half of the year. And whenever I come into the school, if the primary students haven't started their program yet, they'll come up to me and say, Miss Emanuel, when are we doing Shakespeare? What character am I going to play? Which play are we doing this year? And they're all very excited. I don't think I've ever met a child at John Colet that hasn't enjoyed doing Shakespeare. The other thing that we take very seriously at the school is making sure that each child gets an equitable experience up there on the stage. We want them to have their time in the sun. It's not just about one or two or the select strong children. It's about giving as many children that opportunity to shine and speak up and be confident and be bigger than they are up on that stage as possible. So we look at the scripts, we share the lines out as much as we can. Obviously, there'll be some children that have more than others, but within reason, there's only usually 10 to 12 lines between it. And we think that then stretches all the children in the school and gives them just as much opportunity as the others in a really integral way. So as Mr. Wilcock said, it's a whole school experience, and not only do they get to be involved in it, they also get to observe it and watch each year group do their plays, and this is a really important part of the school program. Our program, I mean, it requires a huge amount of concentration and focus. The playing, the practicing, the performing, it develops that sustained focus that comes with the school using pause and Shakespeare through mind, body, and voice. It also helps their focus in school and in their lives outside of school. And I think that's so important now with the amount of technology and stimulation that not only children, but we all have, is that importance on understanding how to focus on one thing and sustaining that. It brings self-discipline. The process of moving from ideas to action to performance teaches the values of practice and perseverance. And learning lines, persevering with that on a regular basis. It's really tricky to learn Shakespeare lines, as you can imagine. It improves their resilience and memory, and combine that with creative movement and improves self-control. And it builds their social awareness. We talk about legends, myths, poems, the stories and plays used in drama, teaches the students about social issues, conflicts, and from cultures past and present and all over the world. So by combining speech, movement, acting, sometimes a bit of dance as well, some singing in our plays, the students move beyond the rigid constraints of the textbook chapters and widen the scope of learning. And drama and play in education enhances the creativity in students.
Well, thank you, Zoe, for that in-depth discussion on both Shakespeare and drama in education. As you can see, she's very passionate, and rightly so too. I should have mentioned right at the start as well, because I do get asked by a lot of parents, to even the kindergarten children, do the actual Shakespeare play, and they do. So we don't dumb down the language. Zoe was mentioning that sometimes we do give the plays a bit of a modernisation or a theme, but that's in how it's styled. Wouldn't that be right, Zoe? It's more the language itself. We obviously don't do a whole play. Otherwise, I think Zoe and parents would be pulling their hair out at about 2.5 hours. But they're different lengths depending on whether they're kindy or sixth class, but the language itself is kept as it was written.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with that as well is, with the we don't generally change the style until they reach year 4, year 5, year 6. So from kindergarten to year 3, we tend to keep the plays very traditional, so they get that understanding, that foundation. And then from year 4, sometimes we might change it a little bit, bring it a bit more into a modern context. We might do a circus theme, for example. And then year 5 and definitely year 6, we say, how can we bring this into the modern day? Is there something we'd like to do with it? And we collaborate with the children on that, and they can come up with some ideas. And it's a brilliant thing to see that come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our infant Shakespeare performances are held within our hall at school each year, so on site. Our primary students have the benefit of performing on the big stage at Glen Street Theatre. We have been away from there for a couple of years now because of all the COVID rules, but we're looking forward to getting back there this year. And it's a great opportunity for them to be part of a real professional production. So it's on the big stage. We have a day session and an evening performance as well, where friends and family can come. It's also taped and digitized, so it can be sent overseas, because we've got quite an international mix at our school too. So each class will perform each year, and they'll also have the opportunity to watch every play. So in any year, they experience almost 12 productions. So like Zoe was saying, it was getting that experience right across Shakespeare before they actually hit high school. And I'm often asked by parents, well, do the children actually, engage in it? Are they interested? But as Zoe was saying, I haven't met a child yet who hasn't been keen on their Shakespeare production. But a big part of that is starting it right at kindy, because it is seen as normal. It's okay to get up on stage. It's okay to act. It's okay to not be yourself. And you do find children who are normally wallflowers who are up on stage and having a go. And we do look for full participation. So that means nobody has, we don't have any rocks, children acting as rocks or trees. We have children playing different roles, the same role within a play. So you might be doing King Lear and have 3 King Lears dressed all the same that come out at different times. But it's about putting on a good performance, but also ensuring that all the children have an equitable role in the production as well. And Shakespeare's great because it allows us to have a very big mix of plays across the different year levels in every year, because there's everything from comedies to tragedies, everything in between. I think this year, what have we got? Lower First, All the World's a Stage. We've got Infants, Midsummer Night's Dream, Much Ado About Nothing, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth in 3rd class, The Tempest in 3rd class as well, which is a great play. Henry V, which is quite a serious play for our 4th class. But the other 4th class will be doing a comedy of errors, and I'll often swip around each year, one doing comedy or a tragedy as well. And our 5th class are doing one section in Merry Wives of Windsor, and then the other class are doing the follow-up section.
No, they're doing Hamlet, actually. Yeah.
Hamlet, are they? Okay, that's a typo. I was hoping we'd get Hamlet. We didn't have Hamlet in there this year. And our 6th class, which is always the sort of culmination of their primary schooling as their Shakespeare play, is usually a bit longer production. And this year we've got 12th Night and Antony and Cleopatra, which we'll be looking forward to at Glen Street Theatre. So, as I said, many students won't have the opportunity to perform Shakespeare until they get into high school. And only then will it be optional in some schools. And of course, if you've got adolescent children, or children in their teenage years, it takes a lot of guts to jump up on stage for the first time. But if they've been doing it through their primary education, that fear, even with public speaking, has been taken on board. So it's a great gift to be able to give children along with that. So performing drama is part of our approach to the development of attention and self-confidence. Skill once experience they've got throughout their high school and later life. And it's certainly not an add-on for us. So it's not like your little play at the end of the year. The children actually do study the plays, and it is a professional production that we look for, but ensuring that it's fun too. So I hope you found at least a few points that we raised tonight relevant to you and your family on the benefits of drama, particularly in Shakespeare for young children. If anyone's got any questions, pop them in. I might get a few sent to me in a moment. I can answer those as well. But also, if you've got other areas you'd like us to talk about from our school, because we are quite a unique school, feel free to put in topic, and maybe the next webinar we can take on that. If you'd like to find out more about our school, the best way is to contact the school, come on a tour. As I said, the weather's been lovely this week for a tour. We do have a lovely building project going on at the moment that we're hoping will be finished very soon. You can visit our website, Instagram, Facebook pages, and we have an open day that's coming a bit later this year because of our building project, hopefully for that for October. Happy to answer any questions. I'll see if there's any that have come through at the moment. Let me have a look here. What about children who are very anxious or shy? Do they have to do Shakespeare as well? Does it help them? What do you think, Zoe? You've had some anxious, shy children.
Lots. And it, often children who come to the school and they're new and they're very shy, they find it quite daunting, the idea of doing Shakespeare. But we've got such a supportive program here that it's not a thing that they need to get scared of. It doesn't take them long to get involved and enjoy it. And, I've seen countless children who've been shy get up on a stage and speak with a big, clear, loud voice and transform. And that's been an incredible experience. So, no, it's very much something that we're proud of at school. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's giving them the support, both from the teacher and the other students around for those children who might be a bit shy. So it's not like we start practicing a week out from performing, and the children have got to suddenly learn their lines. There's quite a lot of lead-in time there where they can get used to their lines. They can take them home, discuss them with their parents. We do a lot of practice sessions. I'll often practice in front of other classes before they do their main production as well.
Yeah.
And everyone gets shy on the night. I get nervous doing a webinar on a Tuesday night up on.
Yes.
But it's all experience for them. So similarly, I think there was another question in there. One that got sent through. It's quite similar. Yeah, what about children who are very quiet and don't like to speak up? Quite often, it gives them an avenue to do that. When they're asked to speak up from themselves, say in an assembly, they can be quite shy because they're producing what they're going to be talking about. The great thing about drama is you're embodying someone else, and you're also reading what they're going to say. So it sort of gives you, in a way, the sort of tools and permission to not be yourself and to act up. Children love acting up, but it's about building that confidence year in, year out as well.
And it is about that because it doesn't happen straight away, and I've seen children who feel so nervous about getting up on that stage, but I don't think we've ever had a child not get up on that stage and perform and do their best. And that's what we encourage at the school, because what you've got to remember that they are children and each child comes with their own capacity. But what I really believe is that you can stretch that capacity and raise them up. And something that I talk to the children about is believe or feel like you're bigger than you are and stand as if you're bigger and taller. And that's what Shakespeare does. It lifts them up because they're performing as kings and queens. He didn't really write as a common person. He wrote about kings and queens and royals and those kind of characters that the children can really lift up to. And I think it really, as Mr. Wilcock said, it gives them an avenue for that and allows their confidence to grow. Because confidence is a muscle; it's a courage that you have to build upon, and just like resilience. So I think that the program really does offer them that.
Thank you, Zoe. Another question here: Do boys enjoy drama as much as girls, or do you get some resistance?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Simple.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say the range of engagement is very similar across boys and girls, actually. Right across the board. Would you agree?
And the other thing with Shakespeare is that the boys love it because often they get to do sword fighting. They get to show off if it's comedy. I even get them kissing a girl. Now, when I say that, they have to get down on their knee and put their thumb over the girl's hand and kiss the thumb. But it can be quite exciting. So the boys tend to love all of it, every aspect of it. In fact, I would say sometimes the boys are more gung-ho than the girls about it. And sometimes it's the girls you have to bring out of their shell a little bit more. But no, the boys I have not had any resistance. And I think it's because of the stories that they're telling and they're performing in that they love it so much.
Yeah. You see here. Here's one. Well, this one, look, I can just mention on this one. There's a question here about how does the school encourage diversity and global citizenship? Not really about Shakespeare. So I'm happy this could be one of those areas that we can work on as a topic for another webinar. But just in short, we are a multi-faith school. While most independent schools you'll find of a particular religion, Christian, Islamic, Hindu, that type of thing, we look at more the commonalities of all religions rather than what separates them. So we do have a much more global perspective. And the children do have philosophy lessons right from kindy through to year 6. And those philosophy lessons are not so much what's the meaning of life, but more to live a good life. And to do that, we look at tales, fables, stories from around the world, different traditions, and really opens up a global perspective for the children. And I think leads to the reason why we've got such a diverse population here at John Colet School. But I can talk about that more maybe at another webinar. But if you're interested, give us a call. Happy to talk about it individually.
And I would just like to add that there is a very wide diversity of children at the school. So, you know, just mixing in around the students, we've got a range of students from different backgrounds and cultures, which is fantastic. So that's already there for the students to experience as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any more. Yes. Okay, this is a good question. Do the children get involved with the behind-the-scenes side of productions if they're really into drama? Do you want to answer that one, Zoe? I've got an answer, but you probably know it more from behind the scenes than I do.
Yeah. No, they do. So one aspect is when we do the plays, I get the children to, you know, we allocate different students, children to bring props and sets on and off, so that ultimately the whole play is sort of run by them. I mean, there's obviously a lighting designer, a sound designer, and all those sorts of things. But in terms of the play and the movement of the play itself, they have this very much involved when they're not on stage. They're making sure things are going on stage. They're helping with backstage. Sometimes, you know, they're bringing things on and off. So that's a big thing, and it actually is really great for the kids. They love it. And then the other side is we have Shakespeare monitors who are selected in year 6. And those Shakespeare monitors help with the lighting, the sound for the infants' plays. So because we do those at the school, we have our own little site set up at the school. And the children, the year 6 children, are the ones who are operating the lights with guidance, obviously, and we train them. And the sound and, you know, using the computer, and that is a fantastic experience for them, and they love it. So it is there. It's very much part of how we train the children, kind of a whole backstage, front stage experience.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for our 6th class students, because quite often, if you're looking at leadership for your 6th class, you know, you've got a head boy, head girl, head of, you know, your sports teams, that's type of things. But the children with other interests don't often get a chance. So we'd have, as Zoe said, we've got our Shakespeare sort of prefects or helpers that are helping infants across the board. We also do the same thing through our art program. We'll have art monitors that will go and work with our younger students. We also have our head chorister, music as well. We even had a new groundskeeper at the moment that grabbed hold of a few year 6 boys to help around and girls to help around the school. So, you know, it's a unique school with a lot of unique children, and you do have to look for leadership qualities right across the board. So, yeah, thanks. That was a good question. Okay, let me see. I don't think I've got any more questions there. Zoe, is there anything you wanted to add?
Oh, no, I think we've covered it all.
Okay, pretty well covered. Okay, well, look, thank you all again for coming tonight. Thank you, Zoe, for coming after I think you've had already drama classes with your older children tonight.
Yes.
So thank you for your time as well. And again, if you're interested more in the school, feel free to contact us. Come and have a tour. The best way is just to get a feel for the places actually to be here. Otherwise, have a good look at the website. I think our website does a very good overview of the sort of new unique aspects of our school. We'll give you a bit of an idea. But thank you again for attending, and hope to see you soon.